Hey everyone. Today we're exploring the electrifying journey of Surge, a young woman whose remarkable powers came at an extraordinary cost. Noriko's story begins in Tokyo, Japan. A normal teenager with a normal family and a close relationship with her brother Keitaro. But at just 13 years old, everything changed. Imagine waking up one day to discover that your body has become a magnet for electricity. Light bulbs flicker when you enter a room. Computers crash at your touch. Your mind races faster than you can process thoughts. This was Noriko's nightmare. Her father couldn't or wouldn't accept what she had become. "My father doesn't believe in mutants," she would later explain. The pain of rejection drove her to make a devastating choice. She ran away from home. But where does a 13-year-old mutant girl go when her own family rejects her? For Noriko, the answer was across the ocean to America, a journey shrouded in mystery that would eventually lead her to the streets of New York City. For 4 years, Noriko lived homeless on the streets. 4 years of struggling, not just with survival, but with powers she couldn't control. Without help, her mind would become overwhelmed by the electricity constantly surging through her body. Her solution? Drugs. Pills that would slow her system down enough to function. Every day became a desperate search for her next dose, not for a high, but simply to maintain sanity. When she finally made it to the gates of the Xavier Institute, the one place that might offer her salvation, she faced yet another rejection. A student named Hellion turned her away for being homeless. But sometimes, the most profound connections begin with conflict. Later that night, something unexpected happened. A young mutant named Elixir gathered his friends to search for Noriko. They found her buying drugs, and in a misguided attempt to help, they destroyed her pills. What they didn't realize was that without those pills, Surge's powers would spiral completely out of control. The resulting electrical discharge nearly destroyed them all. But in that moment of chaos, something beautiful emerged. True connection. They brought her back to the Xavier Institute, where everything changed. Beast, the brilliant scientist of the X-Men, designed special gauntlets that would regulate Noriko's powers. These weren't just accessories, they were liberation. For the first time since her powers manifested, Noriko could control the electricity flowing through her veins rather than being controlled by it. Noriko's journey was just beginning. As a student at Xavier's, she was assigned to the New Mutants squad, where she immediately clashed with her roommate Dust over their differing cultural views on women's roles in society. Their tension wasn't just teenage drama, it represented the fundamental challenge of the X-Men, finding unity despite profound differences. These conflicts shaped Noriko in unexpected ways. When teammate Josh Foley found himself injured after a forbidden relationship with teacher Ronnie Sinclair was discovered, it was Noriko who stepped forward with an innovative solution. "Let me shock him," she suggested, demonstrating a quick-thinking pragmatism that would later define her leadership style. Her willingness to take calculated risks to help others, even those ostracized by the group, revealed an emerging leader beneath her prickly exterior. But everything changed on M-Day, the day when Wanda Maximoff's reality-altering powers stripped over 90% of the world's mutants of their abilities. The Xavier Institute, once bustling with students, became a ghost town. Those depowered were sent away for their safety, including Noriko's advisor, Danielle Moonstar. But safety proved an illusion when anti-mutant zealot William Stryker bombed a departing bus, killing dozens of former students in a single act of terrorism. In that moment, Noriko realized that power came with responsibility, and survival came with guilt. In the aftermath of this catastrophe, Emma Frost gathered the remaining powered students for a brutal test, a no-holds-barred melee fight to determine who would become the X-Men's next generation. Noriko fought with everything she had, not just for herself, but for a future where mutants could survive. When the dust settled, Emma Frost made a decision that shocked everyone, especially Noriko herself. she appointed Surge as the leader of the remaining powered students. The girl who once couldn't control her own abilities was now responsible for guiding others through the darkest chapter in mutant history. Her first gift as leader came from Forge: new, lighter, more effective gauntlets that gave her greater control of her powers. The symbolism wasn't lost on anyone. As Noriko gained better command of her electrical abilities, she would also need to master the current that now flowed through her team, their fears, their hopes, and their very survival. Leadership is easy in times of peace, but Noriko never knew such luxury. Her first true test came when William Stryker, a man whose hatred for mutants knew no bounds, launched a coordinated attack on the Xavier Institute. 2 students were murdered in cold blood, others were captured, and one was even turned against his friends through psychological manipulation. As panic spread through the remaining students, Noriko stood firm. In the chaos of alarms and screams, her voice cut through. "We fight back. Now." It wasn't just words. It was a declaration that under her leadership, the new X-Men would no longer be victims. The battle that followed tested everything Noriko had learned. She coordinated her teammates with tactical precision that belied her age, maneuvering them like chess pieces on a battlefield where a single misstep meant death. When the dust settled, Stryker lay dead, killed not by Surge, but by her teammate Elixir, whose grief had transformed his healing powers into something lethal. In the aftermath, Noriko faced a new challenge: helping a team process not just victory, but the moral complexity of killing, even in self-defense. This wasn't in any leadership manual. There was no protocol for comforting teenagers who had been forced to become soldiers overnight. But an even greater threat loomed on the horizon. Nimrod, the most advanced Sentinel ever created, had returned from the future with one mission: exterminate all mutants. When the X-Men's resident genius Forge found himself trapped by this technological nightmare, Noriko made a decision that would define her leadership forever. "We're going after Nimrod," she announced to her team. Not the adult X-Men, not the experienced fighters. Her team, the students everyone else sought to protect. It wasn't recklessness driving this decision, but a calculated understanding that sometimes waiting for permission means waiting too long. The battle against Nimrod pushed Noriko beyond her limits. The machine adapted to every attack, nullifying the young mutant's powers one by one. As her teammates fell around her, Noriko made the ultimate sacrifice. She removed her gauntlets, the very devices that kept her powers in check, and channeled the full force of her electrical abilities directly into Nimrod. The discharge was blinding, a pure expression of everything Noriko had become. With no regulation, no safety net, she poured every volt of electricity her body could generate into the killing machine. The resulting temporal displacement sent Nimrod hurtling backward in time, but left Noriko drained and vulnerable. The price of leadership was personal too. When demons from Limbo attacked the school, and Noriko received word that her boyfriend David had been killed, a different kind of test presented itself: how to lead through grief. Her response was immediate and fierce. "Ask me again when I've turned Belasco into a smoking black pile of ash," she told Hellion when he asked if she would be okay. Coordinating with one, Office of National Emergency, Surge displayed a newfound diplomatic skill, negotiating with government agencies who had often been adversaries to mutant kind. When the bureaucrats attempted to block her access to Amanda Sefton, a sorceress who might help them reach Limbo, Noriko didn't hesitate to threaten them with electrical discharges that would fry their security systems. The message was clear: she would work with authorities when possible, but would never let red tape stand between her team and survival. In Limbo itself, Surge led the unified Xavier Institute students against Belasco's demonic hordes. Picture this: a teenage girl standing at the front of a ragtag army of mutants, electrical energy crackling around her body as she shouts commands that cut through the chaos of battle. She even engaged Belasco, in single combat, a mortal teenager against an ancient demon sorcerer, buying crucial time for her teammates Pixie and Darkchild to deliver the killing blow. Through these trials, Noriko transformed from a reluctant leader into a commanding presence. Her leadership wasn't perfect. It was marked by impulsivity and sometimes excessive force, but it was authentic. Her teammates followed her, not because she was flawless, but because they knew with absolute certainty that she would die before abandoning them. This wasn't just bravado. This was a young woman who had learned that pain could be transformed into power, and that true leadership isn't about avoiding fear, but acting despite it. Relationships are rarely straightforward, especially when you're a teenage mutant with the weight of the world on your shoulders. Noriko's relationship with David Allain, also known as Prodigy, became complicated when she learned that her powers could cause his death. In a heartbreaking attempt to drive him away and protect him, she publicly kissed Hellion. But her plan backfired when David regained memories of all the abilities he had previously copied, ending their relationship, but strengthening his resolve to stay at the Institute. This moment reveals something profound about Surge, her willingness to sacrifice her own happiness for those she cares about. Yet it also shows her youth and the impulsive decisions that sometimes come with it. In the collectible card game Marvel Snap, Surge makes an appearance with a unique ability that attempts to capture her essence. On reveal, give the top card of your deck -1 cost and +1 power. After you play it, repeat this ability. This game mechanic creates a chain reaction of empowered cards, much like how electricity surges through a circuit. The reduced cost represents her superhuman speed, allowing players to deploy cards more quickly, while the power boost mirrors how she energizes everything she touches. The repeating nature of the ability reflects Noriko's continuous absorption and discharge of electrical energy. Thank you for taking this journey with me. Who do you want me to cover next? Let me know in the comments. Until next time, and remember, sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply refuse to give up.